Rachel, today we're diving into Azure Container Apps. For our listeners who might be new to this topic, could you start by defining what Azure Container Apps is?
Of course, Alex. Azure Container Apps is a serverless platform designed to simplify the deployment and management of containerized applications. What makes it unique is its ability to abstract the underlying infrastructure, allowing developers to focus entirely on their apps.
That sounds interesting. So essentially, it removes the complexity of managing servers. Can you give us an example of how that works in a real-world scenario?
Certainly. Imagine you're deploying an API endpoint. With Azure Container Apps, you don't have to worry about the underlying servers. Instead, you just deploy the container, and the platform handles the rest. It can automatically scale based on incoming HTTP traffic.
That automatic scaling sounds crucial, especially for fluctuating workloads. How recent is this technology from Microsoft?
Very recent, actually. Azure Container Apps was launched in 2021. Since then, it has seen significant improvements, like Dapr integration in 2022, and by 2024, introducing multi-container revisions, reaching enterprise-grade functionality in 2025.
Impressive. It seems like Microsoft has put a lot of effort into evolving this service. So beyond just deployment, what are the key uses of Azure Container Apps?
Great question. Key uses include deploying API endpoints, running microservices, and handling event-driven processing. It's all about providing flexibility and simplifying complex operations, enabling developers to innovate without being bogged down by infrastructure management. Let's dive into the historical evolution of Azure Container Apps. Microsoft launched Azure in 2010. It was a milestone, setting the stage for various cloud services.
Right? And then in 2021, Azure Container Apps made its debut, right? This brought about a paradigm shift in how developers managed containerized applications.
Absolutely. The goal was to abstract the infrastructure layer, making it easier to deploy and manage these apps. By 2022, they integrated Dapr, which was a game changer for microservices.
For those who might not know, Dapr stands for Distributed Application Runtime. It's an open-source project that simplifies building microservice-based applications. That was a big move.
Indeed. Following that, multi-container revisions came into play in 2024. This allowed for more complex deployments where multiple containers could be managed as a single unit.
So, each edition made the platform more robust, providing enterprise-grade functionality by 2025. This means large-scale businesses could trust and rely on Azure Container Apps for their critical operations.
Exactly. The historical evolution shows how Azure Container Apps has matured, enabling simpler workflows and boosting innovation without overwhelming developers with infrastructure concerns.
Now, let's dive into the core features of Azure Container Apps. Rachel, can you describe what makes these features so integral?
Absolutely, Alex. One of the main features is container orchestration. Azure Container Apps automatically manages, scales, and updates containers for you, which means no more manual orchestration.
That sounds like a game changer. How does this impact scalability specifically?
With dynamic scaling based on HTTP traffic, event-driven processing, and resource utilization, it ensures your applications can handle unpredictable and variable workloads efficiently.
Efficiency seems crucial. Another noteworthy feature is the integration with Dapr. How does this benefit developers?
Dapr, or Distributed Application Runtime, simplifies building and managing microservices. It abstracts away the complexities, making communication between services seamless.
It's fantastic that developers can focus more on app development rather than integration headaches. The serverless computing model must offer significant cost benefits, right?
Exactly. The pay-per-use model means you only pay for the actual usage. Plus, it can scale to zero, so during idle times, costs are minimized, ideal for event-driven workloads. We've touched on how Azure Container Apps simplifies microservices and offers cost efficiency, but let's dive into scalability and efficiency.
Absolutely. Scalability is critical for modern applications. Azure Container Apps can dynamically scale based on HTTP traffic, events, and CPU or memory load. How does it handle varying workloads so smoothly?
Great question, Alex. The platform uses container orchestration to automate this process. By monitoring and analyzing the application's requirements, it scales up resources during peak times and scales down when demand decreases.
So, if a business experiences a sudden spike in web traffic, Azure Container Apps can seamlessly handle the traffic without manual intervention.
Exactly. This automatic scaling ability is not limited to HTTP traffic. It also supports event-driven processing with Kita-supported scalers, ensuring efficient handling of sporadic workloads.
Efficiency is paramount, especially today. How do these capabilities translate into cost savings for businesses?
The serverless model allows organizations to pay only for the compute resources used. By scaling to zero during idle times, Azure Container Apps significantly reduce costs associated with maintaining idle infrastructure. Beyond being serverless and cost-efficient, one of Azure Container Apps' standout features is its seamless integration with existing tools. Developers can use containers from any registry, like Docker Hub or Azure Container Registry.
That interoperability is key. It makes the adoption smoother for teams that already have an established CI/CD pipeline. How does Azure Container Apps integrate with other Azure services, Rachel?
It integrates seamlessly. For instance, you can leverage Azure Functions for event-driven code or Azure Spring Apps for running Java apps. This tight integration with the Azure ecosystem enhances its versatility.
That's impressive. Now let's talk about the developer experience. From what I understand, the platform offers a highly streamlined development workflow. Can you explain?
Absolutely. Developers can use Azure CLI extensions, the Azure portal, and ARM templates. This flexibility caters to different preferences and expertise levels, making it easier for teams to get up and running quickly.
Does it support advanced requirements like secure networking and service discovery?
Yes, it does. It supports secure internal ingress and service discovery, providing a robust framework for complex application deployments. This means applications can communicate securely within the infrastructure. As we look to the future, Alex, what's particularly exciting is how Azure Container Apps is evolving to meet enterprise needs.
Absolutely. For instance, the integration of multi-container revisions in 2024 has been a game changer for enterprise functionality. Businesses can now more effectively manage complex deployments.
Yes, and it's not just about managing applications, it's about scaling them dynamically based on varying workloads. This capability, powered by Kita-supported scalers, ensures efficiency and performance.
Efficiency is key, but so is security. Azure Container Apps integrates managed identities and network isolation, backed by over 100 compliance certifications. This makes it highly secure for critical applications.
And let's not forget its seamless integration with existing tools. You can run containers from Docker Hub, Azure Container Registry, and connect with other Azure services like Azure Functions.
Exactly. This versatility significantly enhances the developer experience. Plus, with Azure CLI extensions and ARM templates, setting up and managing these environments is remarkably streamlined.
In summary, Azure Container Apps represents not just the present, but the future of containerized application management. Its unique blend of scalability, security, and integration capabilities are set to revolutionize how businesses deploy and manage their applications.
So the takeaway is clear. Azure Container Apps are transforming how we manage containerized applications with unmatched scalability, security, and integration.
Absolutely, Alex. It's a game changer for businesses looking to streamline their application management.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe, share, and leave a comment. Until next time.